Guess we got to be more formal now. So everybody welcome. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:03. We have a few things on the agenda. Obviously, we have the public meeting at 7 tonight. The first thing we have to do is the minutes from the February 26th meeting. They've just been passed out. Take a chance to look at them if you haven't seen them yet. And then I'll entertain a motion from somebody to pass them as soon as everybody's good. Did everybody sign in? Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to approve them? Do we need a motion? Yeah, Julie will.
I make a motion that we approve the
Okay.
minutes.
Second? Renee? All in favor? Aye. No opposed? No? Cool. Minutes are approved. Okay. Since we last met, other than the public meeting, Ms. Harvey has resigned from the school board to run for the county council. So that now leaves us a second opening in District 1, which is why we're in Catonsville tonight for the public meeting at 7 o'clock. Obviously, this seat will expire after the election. There's going to be an election. 2 people have filed to run. There was some discussion, does it need to be filled, not filled? I think we should fill it, especially with a new superintendent search. I think when the superintendent retires, I think it would be best to have a full school board. So while it's going to add a little bit extra work and the time frame is a little condensed, we're going to do everything we can to fill both seats, the District 1 seat and the at-large seat. So we have a couple options and things we have to talk about so we can, and then we'll get to finalizing a tentative schedule so that Tracy over there, they can help these great people from BCPS that are now filming us and recording us per the law can continue to stay on top of that. Yes.
I realize we just approved the minutes from the February 26th meeting.
Okay.
And there was a March 18th meeting. Are we going to have minutes from the March 18th meeting?
It was just a public hearing. From what I know, there was no meeting. It was just a public hearing.
Because the minutes themselves say the next commission meeting is scheduled for March 18th.
Yes.
So are we saying that there was not a meeting on March 18th?
There was not a meeting on March 18th because we are doing it tonight. When we planned that, we didn't expect the District 1 vacancy, and then we couldn't do both at the same time. So to give the questions committee some more opportunity and some other things. So there was none on the 18th for tonight. So, so the first question is, the applications are both going to be all going to be due at the same time on the 31st at 3 o'clock for District 1 and for the at-large. We'll get the applications, and then we go into the interview process. Obviously, we still have to approve the questions and all that. The thought process is everybody, well, let's have a discussion. Are we okay with the same interview questions for both candidates, or do you think we should try to mirror one more to District 1? I think the board is the board. I think we should just interview everyone the same. Is there any opposition to that? Okay, that'll solve part of the problem. Okay, then the question becomes, which one do we want to do first? Do we want to do the District 1 opening first and go through the interviews, or do the at-large, or is there a preference, or does it just sort of, I don't know if we want to do them at the same time, like.
That was my question, if we could. I don't know what
I mean, I don't know how people's schedules will be, like the applicants and so forth. It's up to us. Do we just want to schedule interviews knowing some are District 1, some are at-large? Do we want to do all the at-large first, then the District 1? How does the board feel? Yeah.
Is it possible that you're going to have some of the same candidates? They're going to apply for District 1 and apply for the at-large?
I guess anything's possible. Yes, sir, Tony.
To make sure everyone speaks into the
Oh,
microphone.
Sorry, I apologize. Yep, you have to use the micro. I apologize. I should have announced that. So please grab a mic when you're talking. Thanks, Tony.
You may have candidates that apply for District 1 and also apply for the at-large position. And I think we may want to give consideration to that and only interview them once.
I'm fine with that. Is there anyone? Okay. Terrific. So, the thought process is if we can do the interviews in April, maybe into the beginning of May, the latest, then we have time to deliberate in May. I'd like to see if we can get both, well, 2 nominees for the at-large, 2 to District 1, 2 to governor by the beginning of June, which will give the governor, I think he has 30 days in the statute if I remember right, but that gives the governor enough time to make his selections so that on June 30th, when Dr. Rogers retires, there's a full board ready to be seated to start the superintendent search. I think that's doable. It's going to make April a little hectic. Obviously, we don't know how many applicants we have yet, but is that a timeline that everyone can get behind? So, yes, ma'am.
I don't have a question about the timeline, but I do have a question. You had shared with me that the application is differentiated. Can you share with the public how that's differentiated?
Just what the application itself is the same. It's just whether you're going to apply for District 1 or
Is there a checkbox on it that says which position I'm applying to?
Tracy? There's 2 separate applications.
But if we get them in, will we be able to discern which one is which?
Yes.
Okay.
Right, Tracy's waving to me. See, yes, we will. Yep. Terrific. Yes, ma'am.
Just a follow-up question to that. Will they do 2 applications? Because if one has a checkbox for a specific job, seat.
I guess
so-
they'll have to. Yeah,
have
they'll have to do
to.
2 applications if they want to apply to both.
Okay, just want to be clear.
Yep.
If they're doing 2 applications, are we going to interview them twice?
Can I speak to that, why
Yeah.
I just wanted to speak to why I think that that's not a good idea. I think that gives a candidate an unfair advantage because they will have seen the interview questions already in a previous interview that's very recent. I think we would need to be cognizant as a group that this candidate is applying to both and interview them once.
Yeah, I think for expediency's sake and just for the repetition of the same answers, I think that makes sense. And
So that means that we should probably take into consideration, when we get the applications in, if there's a group that is applied to both, if we want to do them as a group first and then do the others, so that we have some sense when we're interviewing them that they are actually interested in both at-large and District 1. So in terms of, initially when we're talking about, do we want to do them separately, interview them separately or not, I think we need to have some sense of what interviews we're doing on what day,
okay.
and to know that. And I do have another issue with May.
Okay.
On our timeline, I am going to be out of the country from the 9th through the 18th, and so wanting to be mindful of that time frame when we get ready to have discussions about the candidates in the interviews.
Fair. So yeah, I think we probably would want to do the applicants that apply for both first, then maybe the at-large applicants, and then the District 1 applicants, or vice versa, either, but in some type of order, I think makes sense. Because then we'll have different deliberations for the 2 different vacancies. We'll get to the calendar in a second. I want to talk about the questions and the question committee, because I've gotten some, I know there's been did you have a, yep.
I gotta pick this up and get it close. It's like spider legs. Just a point of clarification, on the site, the application, there is distinction in the title at-large versus the elected, but on the application itself, so Tracy may have to do that for us, let us know if they're applying for an elected position or at-large. I'll read it a little bit more carefully.
So I know the question committee has met, and are we good? Okay, good. Yep, go, yeah.
So I don't know how many, obviously it's gonna depend on how many applicants we get.
Right.
But I don't know how many days we plan to do interviews.
Yep.
And I would just like to offer that we might not want to completely lock in an order that we're going to do them, or that we're going to do them separate or together, because scheduling may be challenging when we get to that part, depending on how many
Okay.
applications there are.
Fair point. I think tonight we want to try to set some dates aside that we're going to do interviews. We'll get to the schedule in a second. I don't know, the 31st is a Tuesday. We're going to stay away from spring break. And Tracy, I don't know, if we did a meeting on the 31st that night, or is that, that's not a school board night, is it? It's a Tuesday. If we did a meeting that night, could we have a count of the applicants by then? So we'll talk about this I'd like to see if we could meet that night, because then we'll know the number of applicants. And then in that meeting also, we can discuss the questions. It will go in a closed session, obviously, for that portion, but then we're not talking in the abstract, we're talking with concrete numbers. We'll know who has applied. Then we can have a good game plan to announce prior to spring break, where we all have fun and go away. And my kids already had theirs, but we already do that. And then we get back and tackle the interviews. Is there anybody that can't do the 31st? A Tuesday, next Tuesday, the 30, I think that's next Tuesday, right? Yes.
Yes.
The 31st. Tracy, does that work for Baltimore County? You can't? Or the 1st, the 31st or the 1st? All right, then we're not gonna do the 1st, so the 31st if we can do it. It doesn't work?
What doesn't work, the first?
The 31st.
What about the first is the first day of spring break.
All right, let's tentatively put in the 31st. We might tailor the agenda down to just setting the calendar, and then start the discussion on the questions, and then we want the full board as much as possible when we discuss the questions. But I'd rather have, before we go into spring break, I'd rather have a game plan of how many interviews we have, so we can start trying to set those up with the applicants over the break if possible. I don't want to go totally dark for 2 weeks if we can. So, the questions committee. I've gotten a lot of different feedback. I know how it was done 4 years ago. We're not going to talk about the actual questions, specifics of the questions, because we're an open meeting. I have been informed that the questions committee has questions that they, I believe, have come to agreement on, obviously, but to pass the full board. I know there's a concern on confidentiality. I know, not going back in history, there was some things that happened last time. There were NDAs and all kinds of stuff like that. I'm one voice. I'll take the board's recommendation on this. In our bylaws, and I think I sent that out before, there is a confidentiality clause. We all agree to keep things in confidence. I'm an attorney. I take that very seriously. I can lose my license if I start divulging things. I think each of us are mature enough to understand what confidentiality means. I know the last time the questions were handed out in hard copies and then collected again and all that. I mean, I can look at 9 questions enough to remember enough to know what it is, to jot down notes later or jot down notes during the meeting. I think here's what I'd like to do. I'd like everyone to look at Article 19 on their own time. I sent it out. It's the confidentiality thing. And I'd like to trust each other that we can hold each other in confidence. And I would like, if the board okays this, after this meeting tonight, for, I don't know if it's Betsy or Julie, whoever has them, to email the potential questions out to the board so that everyone can see them prior to the meeting. I know there's a risk in that. I know that somebody that might have a friend and they want to tell them these questions. I don't know how we stop that anyway, but I want to trust each other for the county has trusted us to pick the right person for the school board. I think that's a big honor and a big commitment, and with it, I think we need to trust each other. So unless there's objection to that, I'd like the questions committee to send out the questions today, tomorrow, sometime in the near future, so that everyone has them. If there's not people here on the 31st, they'll have some time to speak, and then we won't verify all the questions. Maybe we'll have one meeting right before the interviews, if it takes 2 meetings to get them all approved. Look, we have plenty of time. I know this is an emotional thing for some, and there's some strong feelings each way. I've seen different texts and emails. I just want to throw that out there. I'd like to be a little more trusting of each other and email them out and get the ball rolling. But if there's some concern about that, please, we're in a safe place here. Anyone can voice their concerns on that. So, yes, ma'am.
I have concern with them being sent out electronically. I wouldn't have concern with printing a hard copy and people taking a hard copy with them necessarily, but them being sent out electronically, I think really puts us, I don't know what kind of emails everybody is using, I think that puts us in a spot that they may be accidentally forwarded, or, we know that there is lots of hacking. I don't think that people are desperately looking for the questions.
Yeah.
However, I think them being sent electronically opens up a trust to more than just the group.
Okay, fair point.
Be password protected?
I don't know how to do that. Tracy, can you do a secure? Okay. Yeah, I mean, thank you. I don't know how to do it. Our company can do it, but there's people smarter than me. Would that suffice if they were password protected? I mean, if anybody's opposed, we can do whatever. I'm just trying to get the ball rolling.
Can I see
Yep.
clarification? Just for clarification, is the ask to put them in our hands early just for the commission's ease and reflection? Is that what you're seeking?
I think so, because I think it would start the process that people can start reviewing them, that they don't get them cold the night we get here, and start to working through it.
Okay, and I would suggest that for many of us, we're probably not cold because we've looked at the application before.
Yeah.
And I would ask for those that have been writing the questions, if they're not significantly different than questions that we all reflected on at a previous meeting, if they're not significantly different, maybe we could wait, because as you suggested, Scott, we have been entrusted by the public with this really important charge, and it is an easy ask for us not to get them electronically. I think it behooves this commission to say, well, that's a pretty easy thing we could do. We don't have to send them electronically. And so I would just ask that those that have been writing the questions, if they aren't significantly different than ones we've already reflected on, would the commission agree that we've kind of already reflected on them?
I would vehemently disagree, because at the meeting where it was decided that a committee was going to be set up, what we said was the committee was going to draft the questions and bring it back to the larger board, and we'd look at them. Had I known that that committee was not going to do that, I may have made a different choice about being on the committee.
I didn't say they would bring it back. I just meant, do we need them in advance of that meeting?
Well, we said we'd bring them back and the board would approve them.
Right, correct.
And so I've not been made privy to whatever this discussion, the backstory. My only concern is that we said we were going to do one thing, and I want to honor what we said we were going to do. And if we're going to bring them back and discuss them, and this board as a whole approve the questions.
Well, that's definitely
I am
gonna happen.
saying that. You're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm sorry. I am suggesting we approve them. I'm just saying, do we need them in advance of that meeting when we come together and discuss? That was my thing.
I would request that I be given those questions and have a chance to reflect on them before we come back and approve them. That is informed, in making informed decisions, especially since they have been floated and the committee has thought about them and worked on them. I'd like to have an opportunity to reflect on them as well and not have to make that decision right after receiving them. As to the issue about electronic versus in paper, I can just as easily scan and send it out as I could hit send on an electronic email. I don't think there's a distinction without a difference. If I wanted to give those questions out, it's just as easy to scan them and email them out as it is to hit send on an email. I don't think that gets you any greater protection.
Any other thoughts? I want to try to make everybody at ease. I see all the sides. I mean, I definitely, and if spring break wasn't looming right in front of us, I'd say let's meet Tuesday, but I'd hate to see everyone drive to Greenwood just to hand out questions. I mean, we can do that, and we can, I think that's my concern there. If we can do a secure email, I send documents all the time, secure, financials, legal documents, everything, so, yeah.
I just wanted to say, I know Betsy has the questions electronically, and if there's a way to print them here, we could actually have each commissioner take home a copy.
Well, there's some of the commissioners aren't here, though. Yep.
Is there a date that we have in mind where everyone is coming back together again to look at the questions to approve them?
Yeah, so we can jump into the,
Okay.
finalize the schedule.
trying to
We're gonna
wrap my
pick those
brain around
dates now and potential interview dates. The goal when we leave here tonight is we have our next meeting date, the meeting after that, because we're gonna leave 2 meetings to discuss these things, and then hopefully go right into the interview dates. And then hopefully, depending on the number of people we have, we can play with that a little bit on the 31st when we know the number of people. The 31st will not be the night, especially if there's people that can't be here, that we pass the questions. So we could hand them out that night. The problem is we have to get everyone together short of mailing them out. I mean, like I said, I see all the angles on this, so that's why I'm trying to get it that we're all comfortable, so.
Well, maybe a compromise would be to password protect them. That way, everybody could have access to them quickly.
Provide the password in a different manner.
Oh, yes.
So, I think that.
It wouldn't be in the same email.
Right. But I mean,
Yeah.
you could even do it on text and
Yeah.
then email. So, I think that is different methods, which may be a little bit better than even just printing them out, because you could take a picture with your phone.
Right. Okay. And I also, and this is not a question that in any way changes the confidentiality or anything, I think the first question we should ask the applicant is, have you been informed of the questions? And if they answer that in the affirmative, or if they answer that in the no and we find out later, to me, that's a disqualification. So I think we're asking these people to be the school board for our kids. We're putting them in a huge position. I think we need to do it as expeditiously, as safely as we can, but also in a way that we're trusting the people that we're ultimately going to select. So if this was a group that met every day, or we met on a regular basis, I think the hard copies would work. To be fair to everyone that has not obviously seen I have not seen them either. I haven't, I think it would be to give everyone time. That's why I would like to do the password protected. So we still have some time. If there's more discussion on this, there's no wrong answer. I don't want to sound like I'm leading one way or the other. I'm just trying, I know this, from having some conversations, this was going to be an issue that we had a little bit difference on, just trying to find a way that we can all be comfortable going forward, so. Yeah.
Sending them securely does make me feel a little bit more comfortable about it. My understanding coming in, though, was that they were not to be sent electronically. So, I mean, that was my understanding when we voted to have a committee. That was my understanding through this process. We, as the committee, did not send them electronically and met for 5 hours between 2 days to edit the questions. I don't think I'm exaggerating. We met for 5 hours, right?
We appreciate that, yeah.
And so I just, if it is allowed, which again, my understanding was that it was not, if it's sent password protected, where it would need to be purposefully sent for that to happen. That's because my bigger concern is it being unintentionally shared or found intentionally by somebody who isn't part of the commission. I would also like to offer that the committee did spend 5 hours working on these questions. So if we are sharing them ahead of time without the context and the conversation of the thought process of those who were working on those, I would just like for everybody who is reflecting on them to be mindful that there is context and conversation that goes along with those questions if you get them prior to us having a discussion about them.
That's a fair point.
So,
Yep.
and Kelly, I appreciate your thought process. I'm hoping that if our questions are clear enough, the context should come through. And I know I was doing a lot of like, that was very intentional on my part, some reflection. So that hopefully should happen. For me, I would like to have people see them in advance so that if they have feedback, it's just thoughtful feedback. Because in the sense that it took us a while to come up with the questions, I think people need some time to process it so that they can give us meaningful feedback. If people want to adjust the questions, there is a thought instead of just doing it spur on the moment, they've had some time to think about how they can adjust the questions. Just my thought.
Leslie? Yep.
I don't know if this is a good option, but when we had to get all the applications, it was a big package, and we actually stopped at, I think, TABCO headquarters because Cindy Sexton was the chair. They were there for people to pick up. You still have to drive someplace, but it was flexible when you could get to either Greenwood or, in this, TABCO may not make sense this time. It made sense when the chair was a TABCO person. Does that make sense? We had to do it anyway for the applications because it was such a big package,
Right.
which is something to think about.
And a point over, Tracy, the applications, do you guys print them out for each member, or how does that work? Okay, so is that something that could be brought to us at that first meeting back from spring break? Okay. Because all we would want on the 31st is a number, and then I want to get the questions really nailed down before we start viewing the applications, because I don't want someone to tilt a question based on someone's application if possible. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I guess the alternatives we have right now, here's let's look at the schedule real quick. So we're thinking the 31st, spring break goes to the 15th, 16th, 10th, yeah, but I think, how does tax day work for everybody? Is that you do your taxes in the morning and come debate? Signee dies before that, right?
The 13th.
Okay, yeah. So would April 15th, work, April 15th or 16th? And do they work for Baltimore County, Tracy?
Could we do this?
I'm sorry? On which day? Okay, what about the 16th? You have us down there, or? Okay, I think as we talked, I think that was the date I was thinking. Okay. Does the 16th work for everybody?
What time are we saying again?
Probably 6 o'clock?
Superintendent's advisory meeting.
Oh, you do?
I have the superintendent's advisory.
When does that run
The
from?
15th.
Oh, no, the 16th.
6 to 7.
On the 16th?
Oh, the
Yeah, we're
16th.
looking at the 16th, yeah.
6 p.m.
And what are we proposing to do on that day?
The thought process would be, we would start the conversation, we still have to figure out how we're gonna get the questions. Either the questions would be given to us on the 31st, and we would start the discussion, and then we would hopefully finalize the questions on the 16th, which we would start the discussion on the 31st, give people time over the break or whatever, come back, and that night, approve the questions, and then start the interviews the following week. So it would leave us the 31st and the 16th for discussion. We would go into closed session, discussion for the questions. So that would be, I guess that night, the goal would be on the 16th to have a vote that these are our interview questions. That would be the goal. But that's why I want to make it when most people can attend. So is there anyone here that can't make it on the 16th?
I will not be here. I will be flying back to Baltimore on the 16th, but I will be at the 31st meeting.
Okay.
So if I get questions in advance, I will endeavor to have all my reflections as a part of the conversation on the 31st.
Scott,
Yes.
my question would be totally opposite of Beverly's.
Yeah.
I'm not available on the 31st.
Right.
So how would you propose I receive the questions?
Yeah. That's, and I'm being honest, this is why I like the electronic option with the password. Just because we have some members that aren't here. It's just, I get the concern. And it's not, I mean, we know Baltimore County's been hacked before, so I know, you know, we get old administration, but we, yeah, I mean, if somebody's going to go to those lengths, I mean, I don't know. I think it's not, I mean.
So,
Wait.
so I'm just going to say, I don't think anybody in here is going to share the questions. I think we're all confidential. We're all going to be confidential. We're not going to share. I don't think right now anybody's going to hack into any of our emails to get these questions. So if Tracy sends them out, or whoever sends them out with a password protection, we are done, and we can move on. I think that's what we
You
ought
want
to
to
do.
make a motion?
So I move that we get these questions password protected.
Second from
Jeanette.
Latasha? Latasha. Discussion. I know we've had, sort of went backwards, had discussion first, but we're opening it up now to any discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? All opposed? Okay, thank you. Tracy, will you send them out, or? Okay, so whoever has them, Julie or Betsy, whoever can send them, so if you can send them to Tracy. And then Tracy, sometime this week if you can, just before the 31st. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't like saying that to somebody, you have to do it tomorrow. I mean, we all.
You know what, a little more work on
Yeah, I'm not. Okay. I know we're going to pick some dates. Obviously, we'll get to the finalized schedule in a second. Is there any other discussion that anyone has, that something we're missing, something we haven't thought about for the process for the at-large and the District 1? That I know we got to do the interviews, and then we'll come back after the interviews and do our deliberations, and we set up our telling committee and election committee and all that stuff. I don't think we need to do that yet, because we don't even have the questions yet. But is there anything I'm missing or overstepping on, or anything that's concerning anybody? Is the timeline too? I know it seems faster than we wanted, but I really would like, and there's not pressure on this yet, but I don't want to go into this thing with 10 people. I don't want Dr. Rogers to retire and have 10 people on the school board. I think there's already an issue getting to 7, and I don't think we need to exacerbate it. So, and we'll still look. We'll still do our due diligence. If we can't get it done, we slow down. But I think right now, we don't know how many applicants we'll get, but we'll go from there. So, moving to the schedule, and we'll vote on this in a second or agree on it. The 31st and the 16th at 6 p.m. at Greenwood. We will, and again, I want to thank the BCPS people. I know we're adding to their plate, so I appreciate you guys doing this for us. The state sort of passed a law and then dumped it on y'all, so we appreciate you guys and your help on that. We'll know on the 31st how many interviews we're going to have to do, or how many applications we're going to do. We're going to, on the interview nights, go from 6 to 9:30. I think that's what the committee did the last time. That's what we'll do again. Did they do them? So now looking at the next week, we've done a Tuesday, we've done a Thursday. We want it tonight, tonight's a Monday. We're trying to stay off the different days. The following week, the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, is there any way we can earmark 2 of those days for interviews? Or what? Okay, so that's out. All right, so let's Lisa pick one of those, the 22nd or the 23rd.
We have our board retreat.
That week, or those days? All right. Okay, let's shoot for the next week. All 4 days are on the calendar. I'd rather not do a Friday if we can avoid it. I mean, we can, but I don't think people. The 20th, 21st, 22nd. No, I'm sorry, 27th, 28th. I can't read my handwriting. 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. Yep.
Not available on the 29th.
Okay.
The other days I can be flexible.
Okay.
Same here.
29th don't work? Okay.
Nope, I'd prefer not the 30th.
Anybody else?
I'm not even.
27th and 28th? I hate doing, yep.
I can't,
Go.
the 27th, the Monday is a conflict. I'm missing the same meeting. So I can do the
Okay.
28th.
Okay. Let me look at the.
Do the 28th, just trying to get more than one.
All right, so the 28th work? Let's earmark the 28th.
That's for interviews.
That's for interviews, and that day is a Tuesday.
If we have to do Friday, could we do Friday like 6 to 8 instead of 6 to 9:30?
Possibly. Let's see if we, I mean, yeah, we can do anything we want. I mean, we can. So, I mean.
Also, I wanted to mention that we, since the interviews are recorded, I know last
Right.
time we did this, I couldn't be at a couple of the interview nights, and I was able to watch them online. So I just was sent a link, and
Okay.
I could watch them online and see them. So we don't want anybody to miss out on seeing the interviews because
Okay.
they have something else to do. But that's an option.
Do we need a quorum?
Not for the interviews,
No, not
because
for
it's
the
not a
interviews,
meeting.
'cause it's not a meeting, so,
And she's right. They were recorded. I saw some on the recording because I missed a couple of interviews as well.
okay.
So,
All right, that makes, that's good. What about that following week? What days are those?
You mean May?
May, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. 5th's out, okay, that's Cinco de Mayo, or, no. wait. The 4th, 6th, or 7th?
7th is out.
Okay,
And the 6th was out for me.
In light of being able to record,
yeah.
I don't know how many people weren't able to do the 27th.
I'm thinking we're gonna do the 27th and 28th. So now
Okay.
I'm looking at, do we wanna do a date the following week?
We're going to do the 27th.
And 28th.
Okay.
But I would ask for May 7th because I think I'm the person that can't
Okay.
make the 27th.
Okay. And it's a different day of the week. So let's do the 27th, the 28th, and May 7th
The 27th
of April. Does that all work, Tracy?
Of May, right?
Yeah, the 27th, 28th of April, and the 7th of May. Okay.
28th. And then,
And these are all 6 to 9.
I can't do
Yeah.
the 7th of May.
Right, we know. I mean, yeah, but I agree with Beverly. I don't want to pick the same date. Because they're all different days of the week, too, so, which meets our rules. That's 21 interviews, 20-ish interviews. Let's tentatively go with that. If we come back on March 31st and we've got 50 applications, we'll re-game plan. But let's, does that give you guys enough of a schedule, Tracy, for now? Okay, so I don't think we need a motion. Do we need, well, we can do one just to, do we need a motion for dates, Beverly? I didn't think so, okay. So here's what we're gonna do. The next meeting of this group will be March 31st at Greenwood at 6 o'clock, which is a Tuesday. Thursday, April 16th at Greenwood at 6 o'clock. Then the 27th and 28th, both Greenwood at 6 o'clock. And then the 7th, May 7th, Greenwood at 6 o'clock. Obviously, the last three are interviews, subject to change depending on the number of applicants. If we get more applicants on March 31st, we might have to take one of those earlier dates that people weren't there and just go with the recordings. The goal then will, let's try one more thing, since we got everybody here. The following week, we haven't done a Wednesday. Is May 13th a bad day for anybody? And is it bad for Baltimore County?
It's bad for me.
Okay. All right. We'll set the next meeting, we'll set the meetings March 31st. I'll get with Tracy because some dates, because we're gonna want some days in May. And oh, you're away 9th through 18th. So we want, okay, we'll do it after the 18th where we can, that will give us some more time for interviews. And then, unless anybody knows if the 20th works.
The 20th does not work.
Does not work for you. Okay, I want the secretary here. So that's,
I can do any other. It doesn't work for me.
it doesn't work for you. Okay. The 19th? Oh, board meeting. Okay, fair enough. The 21st of May. Okay, so May 21st will be the meeting set aside to begin our deliberations on the candidates. So if we have to add interview dates, depending on the number of folks, then we will, we'll get it done prior to the 21st, preferably the week before.
Would you like to tentatively set up a couple of extra dates before, just in case, because then we could
Well, I could figure we could do that on March
not use them?
31st.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. We could do that next week.
Okay.
Because then we'll have a definite count. This just puts tentative dates out there that I know everyone can make. And then, because we're going to run it, when's Memorial Day?
The 30th.
The 25th.
The 25th, so the 21st first should work. And then we'll stay away from Memorial Day. And if we have to go later, I mean, in a perfect world, we make decisions that night, but I don't know if that'll be possible. We might have more deliberation time. But is this a tentative schedule that can work?
Yes.
Is it give what Baltimore County was looking for, Tracy? A good idea of, okay. Baltimore County's asked us because they got to get all these crews and everything together. So I'll just recap one more time. March 31st at 6 o'clock. All these times are 6 o'clock. March 31st and April 16th will be to discuss the questions. April 27th and 28th and May 7th will be the interviews. And then May 21st will be a meeting. We'll set up the teller committee and all that, and then maybe be able to go into a vote that night, or will we start the discussions that night and then have to jump into where we go from there? Does that all work for everybody?
Yep.
I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of meetings in a short amount of time, but
Scott, what
Yep.
does the, for the 3 dates for the interviews?
Yes.
What does that schedule look like?
6 to 9:30,
Yeah, but
half-hour sessions.
And then time to deliberate in between, or just back-to-back?
I was thinking just back-to-back-to-back interviews.
Okay.
Unless, is that how y'all did it last time, or? Yeah. Right. And then that way, if people aren't there, they can go back and watch the recording and be on the same. And here's the thing, if we start on May 21st and we'll do the committees, we have to, I think it's a teller committee, I forget the exact names, you have to set up for the voting. We'll then not do anything Memorial Day, come back after that. That gives us a week or two. if we get these names to the governor by like June the 10th, June the 15th, I would hope they can turn it around. Even if it's July 10th or 15th, they're not picking the new superintendent right away. So I think if we make our total end date, I'd love to do it by June 1st, but if not by June 15th, we've done our job, got them to the governor. And then people's summers, I don't want to get into all of vacation and end of school and all that stuff. So is that a schedule everyone can work with?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything else that we need to discuss tonight? We'll break for a couple minutes if there's not before the 7 o'clock. Tony and Tracy, does that work for BCPS? Okay. Thank you guys too for all this. And they'll all be at Greenwood because we can even do the deliberations for District 1 at Greenwood. We know, okay. Perfect. Not that we don't love Catonsville. This is a very nice atmosphere, but we appreciate that. Okay, so if nobody's got anything else, I guess we can have a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Okay. 6:48. All approved? Good. All right. So we got 12 minutes before the next thing. So thank you guys very much.
I have no idea where to park at, how to get into the building.
Just approved the minutes, so yeah, we're good. We're going to call this hearing to order. Welcome, everybody. This is a hearing on the District 1 school board vacancy. Ms. Harvey has resigned from the school board. So this seat is open until the election winner is certified. So it's a short term, but it's going to be an important seat as the new school superintendent search will begin. So tonight we're going to run through real quick what this process is. My name is Scott Jenkins. I'm the chair of the Baltimore County School Board Nominating Commission as picked by the county executive. This is most of the board. There's a couple people not here tonight. But yeah, so we look forward to your input. Everyone here will get 3 minutes to speak if they so like. Doesn't seem like there's a ton of people here. Well, I should go a little longer if you want to, I'm not going to cut you off right at 3 minutes, but we're going to go through a formal slide presentation just to explain for anybody watching at home what the process is. Back in the first slide, the new school board, back in December of 2018, the school board was transformed to a 12-member, fully appointed hybrid school board. There are 7 elected members from the school board districts now. They're the old council districts, but they are now the school board districts as the council was expanded to 9 members. There are 4 appointed members, which is what this board is here to do, names are sent to the governor, and then the governor picks from the selections that we make. And there's 1 student member to the school board. This is I didn't change the slide again, it's my fault. It's actually an 18-member commission. Under the statute, it says 19, but the Baltimore County Chamber of Commerce no longer exists. There's 1 person appointed by the county executive. There are 8 from the different legislative districts appointed by the governor, and then there's 1 appointed from the following organizations. Hopefully, it's a good cross-section of Baltimore County and everyone feels represented. Next slide. The school board and the superintendent. Obviously, the superintendent manages the schools, runs the schools, does the day-to-day decision-making of the schools with her team. The school board is for governance. And the next slide, the school board's role, which we're here to pick and appoint members to, is governance. They set the vision and the mission. They appoint and evaluate the superintendent. It'll be a huge role come July, as we're going to have a new superintendent in Baltimore County. Legislatively, they adopt policies and advance an agenda to the County Council and the Maryland General Assembly, and they handle review policy appeals and decide appeals of the superintendent's administrative decisions. The nomination process, there's 1 public hearing tonight. We had the one last week for the at-large selection. Both applications are due 3 p.m. Tuesday, March 31st, and that deadline is hard. It's a fast deadline, so if you think you're going to be stuck in traffic or, I don't know, try to get to Tracy prior to 3 o'clock, because I think based on our expedited schedule, it's going to be really hard for us to allow applications to come in late. The commission will then hold applicant interviews. They will be towards the end of April, the beginning of May. Those dates will be released very shortly. And the new school board member, I didn't change this. This one is December 4th. That's the at-large. This one takes effect, I believe, the end of November, beginning of December of 26, as soon as the winner of the election is certified. So with that, we're having the public hearing tonight in Catonsville. The speaker rules, each speaker must sign in. You'll be called to that microphone over there. It says 3 minutes. We're going to be pretty liberal with that tonight because there's not a lot of people here. Before you begin speaking, please identify yourself. You'll be alerted when your time is up, and everyone who wants to speak will have the opportunity. So it looks like we do have 2 speakers tonight. Only one. Oh, just okay. 2. Oh, okay. Any questions? Do you want to speak? Do you want to address the board at all? Okay. I didn't know if there was any to introduce yourself or say anything to the board. That's fine. Is there anyone else that wants to speak? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Is there any members of the board that want to share anything? I don't want to hog everything. So. Okay. Then. Oh, yep. Yeah. Go. Absolutely. We need 1 speaker. Come on.
Actually, for the sake of the order, because I do have a Baltimore County Public School student. So how are students informed of this process?
Can we ask your name real quick? Sorry.
First name is Candace, last name is Logan Washington. Please forgive my voice. I'm dealing with whatever's going on in the air right now. I'm sure you all have heard about it. But I do have represent a couple students. I have a group of 17 girls that I mentor, and they asked about this process. How are students informed about this process? because the decisions that are made actually impact them? Is it the job of the student member of the board? And 3 of them, I believe, are on, they are their student government presidents at their prospective high schools. So how are students informed of this process, the flow of the process, and actually ultimately understanding the elected versus appointed, all that information? Because they are very leadership-driven young ladies, so I need to have an answer by next Monday.
Okay. I'll start and I'll let anybody else to fill in because I know I'll probably leave some stuff out. I know Sophie is not here tonight. Our student member is a page in Annapolis, which is a huge honor. So obviously we had to meet tonight on a Monday night. She's at session. Is very active on this board. I know she was picked by the student councils, I believe. And you're right. We need to actively make sure the students are represented in this. So they're more than welcome to student council send us emails. I think the email address is on there. The it's BOE@bcps.org. And I think Tracy will get us those emails. They're more than welcome to come. All of our meetings are open. The next 2 will be closed because we'll be talking about the interview questions. But we would love to have any feedback from any of the students because this does, at the end of the day, affect them more than it affects any of us. So please, I was on the student council
So was I.
30-some years ago, and when we were trying then to get lobby for a student member to the school board. And I hope one day Baltimore County takes the path that Anne Arundel County takes and makes the student member a full member of the school board to vote on budget and everything else. I think if you're on the school board, you should have the same rights and responsibilities as everybody else. So I hope Baltimore County takes that into consideration one day, and I'll let anybody that's been in this process before. They can vote on everything. I'm wrong then. I didn't. My apologies then. So okay, good. And we're already there. So, is there anybody that would like to fill in anything or share anything that was on this process the last time or knows more than I know? Or okay, cool.
Thank
That
you.
work? Yep. Thank
Well,
you.
wait, I'll tell them to wait your response.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you guys for correcting us. I did not realize that. So good. That's awesome then. Terrific. Okay. Is anybody else? Would you like to say? Okay. Hearing no other people that would like to speak, we will call this hearing to adjourn. So thank you all very much for coming out.